is Chicks and Salsa. I am Megan Price. This is Jen Matthews Lewis. And then we got Candy from the South Florida Tribune. How's everybody's week going?
Candy, you
Jen.
first.
I was going to say you first, of course. Everything's going pretty good. I can't complain. Weather down here is it's actually been dry. We actually need rain to believe
Okay.
it. So, but
We had that round of storms last week. So we actually got quite a bit of rain. Pretty typical for desert climate. We get all of our rain within like a 2 week period, and then the rest of the year we don't get any rain. So right now we're in that 2 week period.
Monsoon season.
Yeah, that's what they call it. All right, so it's been an interesting sports week, though. We had so much happen over the weekend. We had the NFL draft at the last end of last week. We have NBA playoffs going on. The WNBA girlies reported to training camp on Sunday. We had news that the preseason for the WNBA is going to be nationally televised for the very first time, the entirety of the preseason, not just Indiana or not just Vegas. It's everybody. So anytime you want to see all of them, it's nationally televised. This is the first time in 29 years. This is season 29, y'all. So excited for the changes that are coming in the W. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But let's talk the elephant in the room. That's the draft.
wow. First of all, I just have to say kudos to Green Bay. A lot of people thought it wasn't going to go over well. They thought there wasn't going to be enough rooms. They thought they weren't going to do the big crowds. They didn't need the big crowds. Like they were never going to compete with Detroit and it being downtown in a big city. You know, Detroit's
Right, yeah.
pop- population is like over 600,000 when you go with the metro. Green Bay's population is
Right.
107,000. That
Right.
you
Oh,
know,
wow. I didn't realize it was that small.
it's the smallest
It's
market.
half the size of Amarillo. That's crazy.
Yes, yes. But yet they over the
So,
3 days they had more than
go ahead.
600,000 fans that attended in person, which matched Nashville's record for 2000 going back to 2019 for the second highest attendance in draft history.
That's awesome.
But people were
That is
watching it
awesome.
on TV as well. So it was
Yes.
seeing an average audience of 7.5 million viewers across ESPN, ABC, NFL Network, ESPN2, and ESPN Deportes, and digital channels for the 3 day event. It only was behind the draft of 2020, which was COVID year, and it was up
Okay.
27% from last year. All 7 rounds
Right.
were presented on the networks. Round one coverage was Thursday. It averaged 13.6 million viewers, which is up 11% from last year. Rounds two and
Okay.
three averaged 7.5 million, which was up 48% from last year.
Let's say that's not a ton of a drop off right there. It's,
No.
less
No.
or yeah, less than
And even Saturday's coverage was averaged 4.3 million, which was up 43% again from last year. So the NFL is where it's at. Let's face it, they are got the stronghold out of all of them, out of all the big sports.
that.
I
No,
love.
I really enjoyed the first round. I think my favorite part, and it probably wasn't the favorite part of the Green Bay fans, but when the Detroit pick came out there, I just really liked the entertainment value of it. His comment was that he cried because he thought he was going to get drafted by Green Bay, and that the Kings of the NFC North came in and saved him. I just thought it was hilarious because he was in Green Bay saying that. I love the rivalry of the NFC North. It
Right.
is do or die in that division, and I love it.
I mean, I loved the fact that Roger Goodell came out on bicycles. For those of you that don't know, during training camp, all of the NFL play, all of the Packers go from their locker room down to the practice facility on kids' bikes. So kids line up for these, NFL players to be
Oh.
riding their bike down to the practice field. And so it's a tradition that's been over 50 years. So they brought that to
Oh
the
wow.
draft and had Roger and some of the Packers on the stage riding around on bikes, which I thought was cute. And I thought they honored
Yeah.
Green Bay. They brought a slice of Green Bay to the draft, which I thought was really cool.
Right.
I didn't know that they actually did that, and then or that that was a tradition there. It gives Goodell a little bit of personality there, so yeah, of course we like that.
It does. It does. Yes. And I mean, let's face
What
it.
do you?
There's been a lot of back and forth about Shadur's falling and a lot of fallout with that. But I really want to give kudos to Cam Ward because I think that we've really
Right.
lost that number one draft and really haven't celebrated him because there's been a lot of too many other stories, that overshadowed
Mm,
it. Whether you think
I
he should
agree with
have gone at number one or not, I think we still need to celebrate who went at number one because that's an accomplishment.
It is.
absolutely. Yeah,
It is. So
absolutely.
for
I love that. I love that Warren unretired his number so that Cam
yes.
could wear it. Just a really nice gesture. We saw that that wasn't necessarily the case on some other guys that got drafted. There were some that had retired and said, "Nope, sorry about you. You don't get the chance to do that." But I really enjoyed that. I thought it was very gracious, and
Mhm.
I think this is absolutely the right move for Tennessee. When they drafted Will Levis last year, I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to go well," and it didn't go well. It wasn't as bad as it could have been. I don't think he's just god awful, but he's not your QB1. He's your QB2. And that's okay. That's still a coveted role because you're needed. As a Dallas Cowboys fan, we always need a QB2. Um, it is very, very important to have a QB2. So, not to take anything away from him, but he's not your starter. And I think Cam is absolutely that guy, or at least he has the attitude to be that guy. He seems coachable. He seems a lot of the things that we saw Shador be criticized for, we saw the opposite in Cam. And I don't know that those criticisms are valid. We don't know that for sure. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. What comes to mind about those situations, about when people are anonymously saying something. I remember when Andrew Wiggins was playing for the Golden State Warriors and he had time away from the team. And this internet rumor got started, and everybody had it convinced that his wife was cheating. Well, come to find out, his dad was dying.
Yes.
And then a couple of years ago, Skylar Diggins Smith was playing for the Mercury in the last couple of games. She wasn't there, and everybody said she quit on her team. And oh, by the way, she was pregnant. So there are reasons behind things that happen behind closed doors, and we don't know everything that happens. And so, I know for me personally, I can't sit there and say that I think that he had bad interviews. He might have. It's very possible. People go into those situations with a game plan of, hey, I don't necessarily want to play here. I don't necessarily want to play there. So maybe I'm not going to give my best foot forward in this interview. And that very well could have happened, but we don't know that. So everything that I saw from Shador at Colorado said he should have been a second round pick. Honestly, probably a second round pick. I didn't really see him going first round. I thought he put up good numbers. I do think that Dion is your X factor in the reasoning there. Not that
Uh-huh.
I personally dislike Dion, but Dion has always been a person who ruffles feathers. And you know that, similar to like whenever the ball boys came into the NBA, you knew it was a package deal because LeVar's going to be in the building. You
Yes,
knew
he
that.
is.
And I think that's kind of the same mentality with Dion as well. Like, he's going to be in the building. That's his son. And I thought something that you brought up, Candy, was a really good point that I hadn't really thought about. How coachable is Shador? He's only ever played for his dad. So, you know, I think that that is a good factor of that played in where he went. I like him going to Cleveland though, not because Cleveland is a great destination, but because Joe Flacco's there. And if there's anybody that can teach you some things, it's somebody who has managed to make it in the league as long as him. I definitely believe him sitting behind Joe for a year will be good for his career.
Well, and one other thing that I wanted to say about Shadur and these other teams Not, I don't know about the interview and how it went, but I also know what he brings. Think about the media outlets that have covered him and Colorado, and does an NFL team want all of that attention on a quarterback that's coming in and all that extra pressure? Especially
Right.
some of your big TV markets. Like, I don't know, like, the New Yorks, the LAs, and I don't know that that was part of it, but it could be. Like, where,
Right. It could have been.
what do they want in their locker room? What, kind of coverage do they want? Do they think Dion is going to be too much of a part of a distraction? Or
Right. Right.
Well,
And that those are very valid questions. Not saying that like I think he deserved to fall to the fifth round, but I think talent wise, in talent, um, in within this draft, I see him as a second round pick. There were teams that passed on him that needed him desperately, honestly. But I think one thing, another benefit to going to Cleveland. Cleveland is a working class city, right? Kind of reminds me of Philadelphia as far as the mind frame of the people there. Um, it didn't go well for Ben Simmons when he went to Philadelphia because there he was flashing his Lamborghinis and his model girlfriends, and he wasn't showing up to games. And the fallout of his career happened. Could that happen for Shador there in Cleveland? It could, but I think that they are so burned by what happened with Deshaun Watson that they might embrace him. So if he can really plug in with the fan base there in Cleveland, it can be a positive thing because they have the ability to build a good team. We saw it with Baker. Now, was it a great team? No, but they had a great running core. Similar, if they can play to the advantages and know what his shortcomings are, and if they can build an offense around that, it could be successful there.
so I would actually like to see him learn some football from Deshaun because there's a few things that
Ew.
sure he's a rookie that
Sorry.
he needs to grow on. But
Okay.
not as a
Okay.
person,
I,
just as
I
a
don't hate it because
not as a person. Let me make
is
that clear. Not as a person,
right.
but as a football player, I was saying this last night. Um, and yeah, the question of coachability does definitely come up because when you only play for your dad's best friend in high school and for your dad, and I meant to say this
Right.
last night on Eric's show. Yeah, he had the choice. When his dad left Jackson State, he had the choice to go to another university and learn how to be coached. On the other hand, he's learned. Sorry, my dogs are talky. Um, they're just saying hey to everybody. Okay, let's not do this,
Hi,
guys.
babies.
Um, but the coachability factor is one of them. That's something I've questioned all along. Now
Right.
he is learning from one of the greatest to ever play the game.
Right. There is
And
that part.
but do I have questioned this. Everybody was all up on to Shador until Dion went to Dallas. What
Mm,
happened between
I didn't
he
think
and
about
Jerry
that.
Jones? That's my question because we all know Jerry Jones pretty much runs
It's
the
a good
NFL.
question.
So for
I
him to
think
go to
that
the NFL, screwing over a kid who did deserve to go in the second or beginning of the third round. First round,
right.
no.
Agree.
I'm sorry.
Maybe not. I could see not. I thought there was a lot of talent outside of the quarterback position in this draft.
Yes.
It wasn't a particularly heavy quarterback class, and so like I could see a second or third round. I could see that. But to fall to the fifth, there was something outside
It
things
was a
factors that were
collaborative.
weighing in on that.
And for the
Right.
Browns to pick
I
him
agree. I
second
think that.
after I forgot who they picked. I'm sorry.
After they already picked a quarterback. So that
Yeah.
they picked a quarterback right before they picked him.
Yes.
Dylan, I believe is his
Yeah,
name.
Dylan, you're right.
Um,
Thank you.
right. From Oregon. Is that right? I believe so.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't like the subject because I don't like what happened to him. I especially don't like that prank
Mhm.
call. That was some of the meanest stuff I've ever seen. And I really don't like that type of energy whatsoever.
I don't either, but it's coming out that he wasn't the only one that was pranked. So
Right.
I see. Oh wow, that's
So
very
it's
mean.
just,
But
I
I
mean,
just,
it's
it's
not
really, really.
fun. It's not nice. But people were watching the final episode of Big Bang Theory when Sheldon got prank called initially by Kripke. Like, I mean, and I'm not trying to shortchange it, but some people were trying to make it a race issue. It wasn't a race issue. And you know what? It got Shador a lot of press. A
It did.
lot of press.
It did.
And that Sanders
It did.
family loves their press. Dion went up during our 2015-2016 Super Bowl Radio Row Week and interrupted Josh Norman during Monday night opening night because he wanted some press. Yeah, I remember that clear as day. That's when I was like, I'm done with you, dude. I admire Dion as an athlete, not as a person.
one thing that
I
I
can
do
understand
want
that.
to say that I felt bad. Xavier Restrepo, who's a wide receiver out of
Hmm.
Miami, he did not do well in the pro day. So his running was not, he's not the quickest, and he went undrafted. But I'm happy to say the Tennessee Titans picked him up as an undrafted
Right.
free agent, and now he's going to be playing with Cam, who he's
Right.
got the familiarity with, which I really like.
I like that a lot.
We signed a couple of undrafted free agents as well there in Dallas that I was actually happy with. Of course, a young man named Tyler, because apparently that's all we draft. Um, if your name's Tyler, we need you in Dallas. Anyway, this young man played for Harvard. He also played for Virginia. He was born deaf and then had several surgeries so that he could hear. And then when he was in high school, he was diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so to get past those medical problems and conditions and be signed, hopefully he makes the team. Like I said, at this point in Dallas, I think we need all the help we can get. Please sign him, Jerry.
Because you want him to, he won't. You know that, right?
Right, of course, of course. You know what, guys, I'm not really looking forward to the NFL season. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Not because the NFL, but because Cowboys.
It's all right. I'll bring you over here and keep pounding. We're taking an upswing.
You just got to come up with a
Was
second
there?
team. That's all. You're just gonna have to come up with a second team. You can start, liking.
Right.
But I'm telling you,
I
Megan,
will.
I
I'll
want to
have
know what Jerry
individuals
has
that I
over.
watch.
I want to know what Jerry has over David Tepper too. I'm just saying.
That's funny. Candy, was there before? Because I know you got to go. Was there any move that happened on in your draft for your team that you really liked or disliked? What was your opinion on y'all's draft?
I like the fact that we went wide receiver. First time the Green Bay has done that since
Oh, right.
2003. That's something that Aaron always wanted, and we did it after
Mhm.
him. But we let's face it, we had Christian Watson, who's been injury prone lately, so we really needed to bolster the wide receiver. So I really liked that move. I thought that was bold, and hopefully, golden is golden for us. I guess is the
Right.
catchphrase. Um, so I liked that. And as far as the Jaguars, I really think it was a bold move trading up and going after Travis Hunter. I really think I like that move. I thought that was
Agreed.
bold, but for a young GM and a young coach, hey, you might as well swing for the fences.
True. I think I would rather say that I tried and failed than that I never tried at all, because
Hmm.
out of every failure, there's some success somewhere. And I think that Travis is worth it. I don't know that he was the number 1 pick worthy, but he was absolutely worthy of that number 2 pick. And in both of those picks, the Green Bay pick and the Jacksonville pick, I think that that shows that they're trying to build around their young quarterback. And that was something, especially in Green Bay, like you said, Aaron always wanted them to do that. And I think that shows that there were, missteps on both sides, ownership and their group, and then also Aaron. Like it wasn't just all Aaron that was bad
Right.
in that situation. Like he had some gripes that had some validity to it. So
Yep.
maybe they're seeing that and we're like, hey man, we got to build around this quarterback. I also don't think that Jordan has the same arm or IQ that Aaron does.
Right.
His IQ could probably get there though.
Hmm. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. And I think part of it was that the ownership group or the GM didn't want to give Aaron Rodgers too much leverage, too much say. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's part of that too,
Right.
because there are some players that have that. And I think sometimes, wait, you are employed by this organization to go out there and
Right.
perform,
And
do what
especially when y'all's ownership group is so different than everybody else in the league, I'm not surprised by that mentality.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep, me either.
I
Me.
our draft, I felt like we did well. I'm not mad about us going after and replacing a guard in the first round, because the last time we took a guard in the first round was Zach, and that's who we had to replace. So, while we needed a running back in the worst way, and we need a receiver really bad too, because CD was carrying the load even while he was clearly banged up at the end of the season. Um, we did go after a receiver or a running back, I think, in the fifth round. Um, we'll need to sign somebody in the off season if we want to sew up that area, but I don't mind if we don't, because I'm trying to get Arch Manning next year. So, guys, win 2 games and call it a season.
Right. So I actually like the Panthers actually did something similar to the Titans, but we drafted them. So our first round draft pick was Tech McMillan out of or T Mac out of from Arizona. But he and Bryce grew
Mm.
up playing together. So
Okay.
Ted is from Hawaii. He was born in Hawaii, but when he was 12, he moved to SoCal, and they ended up playing with each other. And so when they arrived, like it was really cute. The Panthers. Oh, I should have sent this in. But when the Panthers released like the video of them like hugging on Panthers on Bank of America Stadium, and then they were giving each other a hard time about what they were wearing. So it was really cute. But I was really excited to be here playing with Bryce again, and so I kind of love that. Mm.
No, I think that's important. We see how successful that is with Joe Burrow and Chase over there at Cincinnati. I do think that that's important. The camaraderie from former teammates, it can matter. Does it matter who you work with? I love some of the people I work with, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. I 100% agree. Like, I mean, before, like,
So the
even work,
Cowboys aren't hiring me anytime soon because I am not having fun.
that's because you would tell Jerry Jones where to put it and you wouldn't last them. I mean, I'm not going to just tell you. You would be diplomatic about it,
I
but
wouldn't tell him where to put it, but I'd be like, now, Jerry.
like, let's shoot it from the house. But, um, don't worry, I would do the
So,
same thing. I guess that's why I can't get credentialed for the Panthers.
I said this when I went to the tournament with you, to the women's ACC tournament. I didn't go to the SEC tournament because I couldn't be unbiased. I wouldn't be
Right.
able to do it. So, I went where I could be unbiased. Let's talk a little bit of NBA right now.
Okay.
So, we have the NBA playoffs going right now, round one. We had 2 series that has already been swept. It's over. It's the 1-8 series in both of them. We had the Cleveland Cavaliers in the East. The Cavs win it 4-0, obviously. And then we had OKC versus Memphis. I don't think either one of the 8 seeds thought that they were making the playoffs. The crazy thing about Memphis is they were the 6th seed with 2 weeks left in the regular season. And so they decided to go ahead and fire Taylor Jenkins, get him out of here, which his winning record was slightly over 500. An understandable move, but the timing was all wrong. All wrong for this. You don't fire your coach who has winning experience against some of these teams, because at the time they were going to face Golden State. I think I can't remember the breakdown of it, but they had Taylor Jenkins has a good record against Golden State, and then he has a better record than anybody else that you would have put in his place for those few weeks. So one of those situations that Candy, you were talking about, the superstar probably had too much say. I think this is exactly one of those situations. Jaw was seen
Humor.
complain, or he was heard complaining about Taylor's offense just a week before that happened, and they let their coach go. Milwaukee has been in similar problems over the last year and a half. because as much as I like Giannis and I think he's a very likable guy, he got the coach fired last year, and their coach had a winning record. And then they hired Doc Rivers, and it's been a crapshoot since. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't always work out when you give that much power to the superstar. So you know,
And
we'll
let me
see.
just say this: I feel bad for Damian Lillard, who went out again
Uh-huh.
now for another injury. Like, he worked hard to come back from the deep vein thrombosis, the blood clots, and only to tear his Achilles. I'm not saying the Bucks would have won with him. They have not playing. Indiana's playing really well, very good basketball right now, and the Bucks
Right.
are
Right.
gelling together. But I feel bad for Damian because he's really tried
No,
hard.
I
You
When
know,
I've heard that
yeah,
Dame
I
might
absolutely feel bad
actually,
for Dan too.
he might retire after this one. Like that's what I've.
He is 34. Not everybody's Kobe, and Kobe didn't come back 100%. I don't think anybody comes back 100% after the Achilles tear. And so, similar age to when Kobe tore it. I think Dame will come back, but I do think it affects
Mhm.
he'd probably retire without a ring now, honestly.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
hate that for him. I hate that for him. I think
'Cause
he'll
he
come
deserves
back, but I
it.
think it's going to be a fruitless chase.
Agreed. Well,
hmm
Oh, unfortunately. All right. So the Bucks and the Pacers are playing right now.
yep.
The Pacers are up only 1 point. They
Mm,
have 9:45 left in the fourth. Pacers are up 81-80 right now. The series, obviously, Indiana leads 3-1 right now. We had a game 4 last night between Golden State and the Rockets. Warriors win this one 109-106. Definitely Draymond's defense won them that game in the very last play, but Houston lost that game on missed free throws and inconsistency with one of their stars, Jalen Green.
I'm going to say goodbye. It's been great, everybody.
okay.
You
Good
guys
night.
continue. Have a great rest of the show. We'll see you guys,
Thank
You
everybody,
too.
next
you.
week.
Yes, ma'am. And
All right, so Jalen
honestly, they were
Green's
trying to get
last seven
Draymond
games.
out last night. They were trying to go. They were trying to coax him into some
They
tomfoolery.
were.
I
I
was
actually
impressed
liked
that he
his
didn't fall for
response.
it. I was like, look at you, Draymond, only 500
I
years younger
actually really liked his. Right. I actually liked his response. He said that the chant, which was pretty derogatory, he said that chant belongs to Boston. Please be original Houston fans. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Ooh.
Then
And right now, the Pistons are
right,
beating the Knicks, just so you know, with 31 seconds left in the first. The
I
New York
hope
is
that
leading
that
it.
I hope that they stretch it out. So
Me too.
Jalen Green's last 7 games, um, he had, let's see, against Golden State, he had 8 points. He had 9 points in game 1, 38 points in game 2. Oh, excuse me, I'm reading that backwards. Game 1 was 7 points. Game 2 was 38 points. Game 3 was 9 points. Game 4 was 8 points. So, and then the ones before that, he had 7 points, 2 points, 5 points at the end of the season. So, not consistent for Jalen
No.
Green at the end of the season. I think that he is incredibly young. I think he's still very talented.
Yes.
And he has a lot going on in his personal life. And I don't think that that's necessarily an excuse or a crutch to lean on. But I think he's a young man that was taken advantage by an older lady.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's
100%.
it's pretty good.
It is crazy and it
And your
stinks.
life can be a mess when something like that happens. All
Hmm.
right, we also had another game 4 last night. We had the Cavs versus the Heat. Cavs win 138-83. Good Lord.
Right?
I don't think Miami expected to be in the playoffs once they traded Jimmy. The people that I hear talking about Spolstra's in the hot seat, I think that you must have just started watching basketball if you think Eric Spolstra is in the hot seat. Pat Riley is never going to fire Eric Spolstra.
No, he's
Never.
not. Never, ever,
No,
ever.
he's the only active coach who's been, or I think he's the only one that's been with his team as long as he has outside of Pop, and we don't know what's going to happen with Pop. But then also, he's the only one on pace, win percentage wise, to catch Pop with the all time wins record. So no, he's not going anywhere. He had a bad season with a crappy superstar that left him in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
all right,
I've never been a huge Magic fan, and they are playing the Celtics. So yeah, go C's.
The Celtics won game 4 on Sunday. They won 107-98. I think Orlando is a lot like Detroit. They're up and coming. They were in the top
Girl, they've
5
been
of
up
the
and coming
draft
for
picks for like a decade.
decade.
Like I said, they've been in the top 5 picks for a decade. So about time. But I'll say this, the difference maker between Detroit and the Magic is I know who the coach is in Detroit, and he's a good coach. I don't know, I can't name who the coach is in Orlando right now. I probably know him if I seen him, and if I saw the name, I'd probably know it and be like, oh yeah, that's their coach. But right now, I'll tell you who the coach is in Detroit, and he's accomplished, and I think he's a difference maker. So while being up and coming, probably on the same level, well, I think Kate's probably a better superstar than anybody on Orlando as well.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I don't know.
All right.
I don't.
Go ahead.
I was looking at the Heat. I don't like the Heat at all. I don't know why they just rub me wrong.
As a Spurs fan, I concur.
Thank you. And the Pacers have a closer lead over the Bucks by 5. Just so you know.
Okay. The Pistons, like you said, are up by 1 at the end of quarter 1, 23-22. The Magic and the Celtics will start for game 5 here in about 20 minutes. Then we got the Clippers versus the Nuggets in Denver. This series is tied 2-2, so game 5. That'll be the late game tonight, and then we will have 2 more game 5s tomorrow. We will have the Warriors versus the Rockets in Houston at 7:30 Eastern tomorrow. And then we will have the Timberwolves in LA at 10 Eastern tomorrow. The Lakers are down 3-1 in this series. Do you think the Lakers come out of it?
No. But I'm also biased.
Okay.
Actually, I mean, they might. They might.
They might. Look,
offense,
I don't
Gerald.
like, it's not that I don't like.
On to go over this too. But
right. It's not that I dislike Minnesota, because I don't. I dislike Rudy Gobert, and I would love to see him lose, but I don't mind seeing the Lakers lose either.
Right? It's kind of like have 1, 6 of another. Yeah. So we're gonna pretend they're not playing.
Well, so our happy story that we're going to end on tonight is, and I'm going to be a little biased here. My rookie got rookie of the year, Stephon Castle. I'm so proud of everything that he's done this season. It was not the season that we thought it was going to be. I was so pleasantly surprised that my team actually did something at the trade deadline with some validity and went after De'Aaron Fox. And we just couldn't have expected what happened, with Wemby and the deep vein thrombosis, and then Pop, and then De'Aaron messed up his finger. Like, there was just so much that went into that. And our constant all year long was our rookie. Like, he put up incredible numbers. And when we draft, they're not usually going to be starters. He was starter ready from the very beginning. And I couldn't be happier with the draft pick, how well it's worked out. And that's back-to-back rookie of the year, which we knew it was going to happen with Wemby. We did know it was going to happen with Stephon over the last few weeks because his numbers are so far ahead. But drafting him, you didn't know, hey, this is going to be rookie of the year. Drafting Wemby, you knew that's rookie of the year. Stephon has just done so much this season. I'm really proud of him and couldn't be happier. And if there's any trade scenario out there, well, we've heard quite a bit of talks about Giannis or KD coming to San Antonio. Not at the cost of Stephon, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Like, he should be untouchable at this point.
And I'd like to add on just a little bit because I know it was mentioned in our group chat, but this is very bittersweet. But I love that Jared Harmon's mom loved him so much to hang on until she saw him get drafted.
Right. Yeah, it was really, really sweet.
He left his draft party early to go be with her at the hospital.
Yeah, I saw that. So it's sweet that they were able to hold on for that moment. Yes. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that does it for us this week. And we're so glad everybody that watched. Appreciate you guys. And we will be back next week, same time.
See you then. Talk to you later. Bye.